everyone, you're watching The Daily on Shaw TV. I'm Kelly Robinson, temporarily filling in for Kate Bergen while she's enjoying some summer holidays. Today we're at the Nanaimo Museum in an old-fashioned classroom, dates back about 100 to 150 years ago. And Jamie, she's going to give us a little bit of an idea of what goes on in this classroom, what people can experience when they come here. But first, let's find out what's coming up on The Daily. We have some summer driving tips with a motorcycle style. Dan Kahn hits the streets with a sexy book. Let's see how many people he actually can get to talk to him. We have Nikki. She's going to take us up to Comox Valley on a joyride. But before any of that, before Kate left on holidays, she got a chance to meet a very interesting fella in Nanaimo. What a great guy. He's a garbage picker-upper. You're watching The Daily on Shaw TV. I'm Kelly Robinson here with Jamie Fransman at the Nanaimo Museum, and we're dressed old school, hey?
Yeah, these costumes are about 150 years sort of style. Women back then wouldn't have worn petticoats under their costumes because of the hard labor they would have done here. So, contrary to popular belief, Nanaimo women wouldn't have worn the big bulky dresses.
Gotcha. But something like this, full length.
Full length. You didn't want to have your shoes showing, so mine's actually a little bit short. But you weren't allowed to wear pants back then. So, yeah, and younger girls were allowed to wear shorter dresses, of course. But.
And a lot of things were different back then, especially the schoolroom, which is where we're at right now. What are kind of some of the things that are different or that people can experience that were different back then?
Okay, well, first off, schools back then were one-room schoolhouses. So all the grades would have been together in one room rather than being separated. Boys would have sat on one side and girls on the other side, of course. You can't have the genders mingling, I guess. Back then, teachers were also a lot stricter. So there would have been things like the strap, and they would have also had a talking stick sort of thing. But yeah, we've got the strap in the display case here. Many kids experience that. Back of the hands, back of the knees. So.
I'm so glad that was gone before my day in school.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Todd knows. I would have been whipped repeatedly. And I can see there's like the traditional ink ways in there, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. You're going to teach me how to do some feather quilling with ink and feathers, all done back in the old school classroom. But first, we're going to take a look at a story. Dunya Tozy met up with Andrew McLean and his very inspiring story of how he lost a whole bunch of weight. You're watching The Daily on Shaw TV, and we're here in Nanaimo Museum right now in an old-fashioned classroom. Jamie Fransman is here to show me a little bit about what people can expect when they come here. So first of all, Jamie, it's not just about the reading and writing. Toys were back then too.
Yeah, kids still had fun back then. They didn't have the electronics that we do nowadays, but they definitely were a little more creative. They had toys such as the Jacob's Ladder.
You know, I've always heard of Jacob's Ladder, but I actually didn't really realize it was a toy. I had no idea.
It is. It's one that's supposed to be a continuous ladder. So when you flip it over that way, it just keeps going down. They would have had races to see who could do it the fastest or the best. Of course, I just messed up. There we go. But yeah, it's all done with just the different ribbons in it.
But you make that look easy. Can I give it a try and see how hard it really is?
So you just hold the middle of the top one. There you go.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Oh, it takes talent, and I guess I've just not got it.
Takes a little bit of time.
What about this toy?
This would be the Flying Man or the Trapeze Man. There's lots of different names for him.
The Flying Man.
You kind of squeeze the base of it.
Squeeze the base.
And he does little tricks. So this would have been one that you would have bought at the store, but still simple enough to make.
Nice. There was no video games back then?
No, nothing like that.
So you wouldn't have to worry about catching somebody with their cell phone and strapping them back?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
One issue teachers didn't have to deal with. So.
I bet. And probably a lot less unruly kids back then.
I would think so.
I would think so too. So we're going to get to some writing, but first you were saying like chalkboards were used quite often.
Chalkboards were used for the younger kids who were just learning to write, just because paper was an expensive commodity back then.
Gotcha.
So parents would have had to pay for their own paper for their kids. So chalkboards were definitely the way to go.
Gotcha. But when it did come to writing, we've got a fancy feather here.
Yeah, so this is a homemade quill pen.
Okay.
So it's just the bottom feather, and then you just cut off one angle the other side. Yeah.
Perfect. And does you just try and like fill it up with ink?
Yeah, so you dip the tip in the ink very lightly.
Okay. Oh, I might have dipped it too much.
That's okay.
Okay.
You might have a couple blots, but that's okay. That's why we have the blotting paper.
Okay. And then we just start to write.
Yeah, you hold it. Yeah, you got it actually right there.
Just like that.
Yeah.
If I went.
So the grooved bit is down.
Grooved bit is down. Shaw TV. Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That actually was a lot easier. I thought I was going to make a make a mess there. That was actually a little easier
and
than
then you
I
would
thought.
blot it afterwards with your paper.
Oh, okay.
Just so you don't get any runs or anything like that. So it just takes the extra bits off.
Whoa.
And kids would have had to practice for quite a while with these. As you can tell, they're not the easiest things to write with. Back then, they wouldn't have used printing on their papers. They would have used the McLean method of handwriting.
Can you give us a bit of an example of the
I
McLean
can give it a
method of
go. Not
handwriting?
the best.
All right. It's a lot fancier, hey?
It's more the handwriting that most people learn in schools even now. So, and being left-handed, it makes it more difficult too.
And so this is just kind of one of the things that people are learning here. What are some of the other things?
Kids are just generally learning what it would have been like to live back 150 years ago. They would have learned, we would do a cursive sort of lesson on the board. They would have learned how lessons went. Kids back then didn't have textbooks to bring home, so they would have had to repeat things. And we do that with the chalkboards. So we'll do a couple of simple math equations, and we'll go over it again and again to help them memorize it because they can't go home and study, of course.
Is there any kind of, like, the kids' reactions, is there anything that they kind of typically are like, oh, wow?
They're usually pretty excited about using the feathers. It's just so different than what they use nowadays. But yeah, they always say it's a lot harder than it looks. And
Definitely, yeah. Well, we're going to take a break now, and we're going to go for a joyride with Nikki in the Comox Valley, and when we come back, we're going to see a little bit more around here. Look, Dick. Look, Jane. Look and see. See, baby? See? Now, this book has been around forever. I remember it from my elementary days, and I'm sure you do too. And the fact it went back 100 to 150 years ago, that's just craziness. This is definitely one of the coolest places to come and check out to find out a little bit of history. And why not? The kids, they must be missing school, right? I would think so halfway through the summer. Of course, kids miss school. We know that. There's lots of fun stuff going on across the island, and I'm going to tell you about a few of them right now. Kids in the Spotlight wraps up their final performance on August 2nd at 7 p.m. at the Haven Institute on Gabriola Island. And also on Gabriola Island, the Theatre Festival returns for its 4th year with 10 great shows to choose from, and this year promises to be more exciting than ever. It runs from August 17th to the 19th, and you can find out more information at gabriolatheatrefestival.ca. The Greatest Show on Earth features Haitian voodoo art collection, painting by local artists, batik and fabric and felt arts, garden art and ceramics, flea market table and crafts, and it's all going down at 5162 Coach House Drive, and it's off Hammond Bay Road. There's a gypsy caravan adventure to Lasqueti Island. Ramona and Dowda light up the hotel deck on Friday and Saturday nights, and they're also going to be on the main stage during the Firefighters Annual Picnic on August 4th. Joy Kills Sorrow is an amazingly talented band that's touring across Canada and the US. I've had the pleasure of working with Emma Beaton before, and she definitely has one of the most amazing voices. You can catch their show on August 13th and 14th at the Wee Church beside the train station in Qualicum Beach. Doors open at 7, and you can get your tickets at the Vintage Candy Shop or Cranky Dog Music. Before we go, we have an art project that we're going to work on. Jamie, this is something that the kids get to do when they're here. Show us what we're doing.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to make a magnet.
Okay.
A magnet craft with a picture of the bastion. So you've got your little clear stone here. We got a picture of the bastion and a magnet.
All right.
So the first thing we need to do is we are going to put some glue actually on the back of
the stone. All right.
So, and then you're going to actually have to get a little bit messy with this.
Oh, that's good.
You're going to have to
we
rub.
like getting messy.
Yeah. So you're just going to have to actually smear that around with your finger.
With my finger. All right.
Just cover everything.
Perfect.
All right. And now you're going to put your image of the bastion on. But you're going to put it face down so the picture's facing the glass.
Through the rock.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it'll give you a really neat effect when it's all dry.
Just like that.
And then we're going to trim up the edges.
Okay.
So you're going to trim around it just to make it.
Okay.
Careful, sharp scissors.
Yeah, and me with sharp scissors, not good. It's sliding a little bit, but
Yeah, well, the glue is still
the glue's still wet. This is very cool. And then kids have a keepsake to take home with them. Remind them of their day back in the old school. So it's a little foggy yet.
It will dry clear. So
awesome.
Yep. Okay, and then you're just going to take the sticky strip off the magnet.
Just like this. Another day that I don't have my nails done on TV. I always get caught like this. Just like that.
Yeah, and then once it's all dry, it'll stick to your fridge. And you have a great memento of the Nanaimo Museum.
So it's a little foggy right now, but the glue will dry clear. What a neat little keepsake for them. And of course, how can people get involved in this program? How often does it run? How can they find out more information?
Okay, so this program runs every Tuesday from 10 to 12. It's a drop-in program included in your price with admission, so there's no fees. You don't have to pre-register. If you want to find more about our summer programs, you can check out our Facebook page, our website, or you can even just call us in the museum.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been so much fun for me here today. Of course, the outfit as well has been lots of fun. Yeah. Back in the old school days. I got to play with this one more time because it is kind of cool. And I never had anything like this when I was young. Thanks for watching this edition of The Daily. We'll see you next time.